Greetings, wizards. Welcome to the Papercraft Wizard channel. My name is Kelly, and I am so excited you're here. In this video, we'll be creating our next 8x8 page, pockets, tags, and belly bands. First, we have our 8x8 base pocket page. Next, we have our right flap, and this is 8 inches by 7 3/4 inches. It's scored at a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. Our left flap measures 8 inches by 6 7/8 inches, and this is scored at 1/2 inch and 7/8 inch on the 7-inch side. Now we have two pieces of cardstock that both measure 8 15/16 by 3 1/2. And one of these will be a vertical pocket and the other will be a horizontal pocket. These are scored at 1/2 inch on 3 sides, leaving one side open to be a pocket. And then our final piece of base cardstock here. This is 8 15/16 by 5 inches, and this will be a double pocket. This piece is also scored at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. I'm going to start with the left side. I'm going to go ahead and miter the corners from the first score line in to make a little tab. Now I will fold at the score lines. I'm going to go ahead and adhere the left flap to the left side of our pocket. I want to make sure that's right up against the edge and even at the top and bottom. And now we have our left flap in place. I'm going to go ahead and use my bone folder to make sure that's nice and secure. Now we'll take the right flap and we'll miter those corners from that first score line. We'll fold at our score lines. And we'll go ahead and add our right flap to the right side of our pocket page. So this pocket I'm going to turn into a vertical pocket here. So for this first pocket, I'm going to go ahead and miter at this first little score line here. And then for our bottom score lines, I'm going to just cut that corner off right up to the corner of that score line. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold at all the score lines. So for this pocket, I want to make it a vertical pocket. So I'm just going to add adhesive only to the long edge of our pocket, our long edge flap, and then I'll adhere that just in that one spot. We'll wait to adhere the rest until we put the decorative paper in place. And now we're going to create our second pocket that is our horizontal pocket there. So same as we did with the last one, I'm going to miter up to the score line for the top, and then at the bottom, I'm going to cut off those corners right up to that score line where it crosses. I'll fold it all of the score lines. Okay, and now I'll add adhesive just to this bottom tab as we did with the vertical pocket, and then I'll adhere that in place. I want to make sure that's perfectly centered, and we made it just a little less than 8 inches to make sure it would fit right in there and still allow for those pages to close. So I'm just using my bone folder to make sure that that is nice and secure. Now we have our vertical double pocket. I'm going to fancy this one up a little bit using my punch board. If you don't have a punch board, you could always skip the center spot and just round your corners on the edges if you'd like. So I'm going to put this in right at about 4.5, which is halfway, and I'm going to punch it. And that gives me this little valley here. And now I'm going to go to where the score line is, and I'm going to line the score line up with the center of this punch, and then I'll punch that spot as well. And that gives us another little dip here. And I'll do the same on the other side. This is the decorative paper that we're going to use to cover our vertical double pocket. This paper is 7 7/8 inches by 4 3/8 inches. I want to make sure it lines up perfectly with our pocket, and therefore I need to do the same thing that I did with our base cardstock to this decorative paper. And I'm going to go ahead and measure this at 3 15/16, and then I will punch. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up to our center line and punch, and I'll do the same thing for the other side here. And our decorative piece should line up well with our pocket. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just miter and cut off that little excess piece that's sticking up there. And then I'm going to go ahead and just cut off those corners as well. I'm going to go ahead and use some distressed ink to ink up that edge where that paper was trimmed off. Now I'll go ahead and bend at all the fold lines. Now I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive to just our bottom flap here, and then adhere this pocket into place. And this pocket goes on the outside of our right flap. And then we'll go ahead and make sure that's nice and secure. Now we will add a few magnets. I'll make a mark where my flap overlaps. And now I know I need to add my magnets above that line. I'm going to go ahead and pick just right about the middle on each side. I'll use my bone folder to burnish those down. And I'll release the tape. Gonna take the magnets and I'm gonna just push that down and then slide it off. So it leaves just the one. And I'm gonna do that for the other side as well. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add the decorative paper. I'm just gonna dry fit that one more time. So I'm gonna add adhesive and then we'll adhere this in place. I wanna make sure I get plenty of adhesive around the edges. And I'm also going to add some liquid adhesive around my magnets. That will help make sure they stay in place properly. So I have a piece that's 3 inches by 7/8 inches. I've added a score line at about the halfway mark, and I've folded that over. So now we're going to add our cardstock to the inside of our double pockets. So for this, I'm using this striped page. I'm just going to go ahead and dry fit that there. Looks good. So now I'm going to go ahead and add this little piece. I'm just going to add adhesive to one side. And then I want to make sure that that is sticking right at about the halfway line. And I want to try to make it as straight as possible. And I want to make sure that's nice and secure. And so this piece of decorative paper is 7 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches. And I'll go ahead and dry fit this. It is looking pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive to our little center divider here. And I'm not adding the flaps in just yet. I just want to make sure that this page will fit. That looks about right. And then I'm going to go ahead and burnish down that center piece. And now I'll go ahead and add adhesive to our side tabs and press them into place one at a time. Okay, all that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive to the entire back of this decorative paper, as well as the back of these two strips we have here, our two little tabs. Now that we have that in place, I'm going to take some double-sided tape and add it to the 2 extra magnets that I've put on the outside. I want to make sure those are nice and secure. Alright, and now I want to make sure those pages are very well lined up when I adhere this pocket down on top of those magnets. Alright, so we have a successful transfer. Now I have this cute set of cardstock. I went ahead and added this cute little decorative strip to the bottom of the striped page here using double-sided tape. This piece measures 7 7/8 by 2 7/8. I want to go ahead and release that double-sided tape and add some liquid adhesive. I did forget to dry fit this piece, and I really hope I don't regret it. Actually, it worked out perfectly. And this cute little pink piece of polka dot paper is 7 3/4 by 5 3/4. So I'm just going to dry fit our paper into our pocket. And it looks like that will line up very well. I'll go ahead and add some liquid adhesive to my little side tabs and then adhere those in place. I just want to flip that over again real quick, fold it up over, and yay, it is pretty much where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and add the liquid adhesive and adhere this in place. And we want to put the adhesive all over the back of the decorative paper and our 2 little tabs. Now let's add our decorative paper to our front left flap. This decorative paper measures 7 7/8 by 5 7/8. I'm giving it a little dry fit and it looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and add my liquid adhesive and adhere that in place. And I'll go ahead and use my bone folder to make sure that's nice and secure. Now we'll adhere the background piece for this center horizontal pocket. This background piece measures 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. I'm going to go ahead and slide that into my pocket and dry fit it. And that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and pull this flap down. And I'll go ahead and add adhesive to our tiny side flaps. and then we'll adhere those in place. I just want to make sure it doesn't interfere with the cover flaps, and it doesn't appear to. I'm going to go ahead and add liquid adhesive to the entire back of the decorative paper, as well as those two little flaps. And then I'll go ahead and adhere that all in place. This piece measures 2 7/8 by 7 7/8. I'm going to go ahead and dry fit that. That looks good, so we'll go ahead and add our liquid adhesive and adhere that in place. Now we'll work on the last flap of our page. This is going to be a belly band page. I'm going to use this piece of base cardstock that measures 9 inches by 2 inches. I also have this piece of decorative cardstock that measures 7 7/8 by 1 7/8. I'm going to go ahead and adhere the cardstock onto the belly band before we adhere it to the page. So I dry fit it. It looks good. I'm going to go ahead and add my liquid adhesive and then adhere that into place. I want to make sure that I get this as centered as possible. Now I'm just going to fold at those score lines. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the belly band to our decorative piece. So I'm going to get that centered up pretty well. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some liquid adhesive to the top and bottom tabs. Now I'll add liquid adhesive to the back of the decorative paper and add it onto the base page. Now I have this little decorative cut apart that I want to add to my belly band. So now I'm going to use some blue ink to ink up those edges. This just gives it a nice finished look. and that does make it pop out just a bit more from the background. I'm going to go ahead and add my liquid adhesive and then adhere that into place. I'm also going to use this cute little decorative piece on this pocket. So again, I'm going to go ahead and ink up those edges to give it that finished look. Now we'll make the tags for the double pockets. I have 2 pieces of base cardstock here, measuring 6 5/8 by 3 5/8. And I have 2 pieces of decorative cardstock here, measuring 6 1/2 by 3 1/2. I'm going to start by adhering our paper to our base cardstock. I've gone ahead and used my corner trimmers. I used the corner rounder to trim the bottoms and the scalloped edge for the top corners. Now I'm going to find the center of the top of our tag and mark it for our hole punch. I'll do that for both pieces. I'm also going to make these tags journaling tags. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my ruler and my craft mat to draw those lines on real quick. I'm going to use my crocodile and I'm going to punch the holes at 3/16 of an inch. Now that I have punched the holes, I'm going to go ahead and add my hole enforcers. And I'll do that for the second one as well. And photos can be placed on the front and journaling on the back. So I've got 6 ribbon here, 3 for each, and these ribbon are approximately 5.5 inches long, and I'm using 3/8 inch ribbon. All right, so I'm going to make sure that my charm is facing me. I'm going to put the ribbon through the jump ring and then through the hole enforcer. And then I'll pull the end of that ribbon through the loop. Then I'll just pull on those to make sure that it's on there nice and secure. And there's our first one. We'll do the same thing for the second one. All right, and now both of our tags are finished. We'll go ahead and add those into our book. Now let's make a few folios. I have 3 pieces of cardstock here, and these all measure 10 1/4 by 7 1/8. And then I have 3 decorative pieces here, and these each measure 7 by 5. I'm going to go ahead and fold these at the score line. They were scored on the 10 1/4 inch side at 5 1/8. I'll open that back up. I'm going to use my Distress Oxide in my little camera stamp. I used a bunch of scraps from the collection to create this page. I'm going to go ahead and add some liquid adhesive and then adhere that into place. There's 1 folio, and I'll go ahead and make 2 more. And now we have 3 folios. And these folios will go within our pockets. And one here in the belly band. I have 2 tags here. These measure 6 5/8 by 4 1/8. And I have 2 pieces of decorative paper here. These measure 6.5 inches by 4 inches. As you can see, I went ahead and used my corner chompers, and I used a rounded at one end and then the scalloped at the other end. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to dry fit this to make sure it'll fit and it looks good. I'm going to add my liquid adhesive and then adhere that into place. And I'm going to add my cute little camera stamp to the back, indicating that a photo may go there. And these photos can go horizontal or vertical, so I'm just going to put a stamp each way. Now I'm going to mark a spot in the center of each of these up towards the top so that I can punch a hole, add a hole enforcer, a charm, and some ribbon. I'm going to use my crocodile to punch the holes. I'm going to go ahead and insert my hole enforcer. I'm going to go ahead and insert the second hole enforcer here and the ring backer. And then I'm going to go ahead and clamp those into place. So now I have 6 pieces of approximately 5.5 inch ribbon, as well as 2 cute little charms. My ribbon, I've cinched it at the ends here so that it won't unravel. I'm just going to layer these together, fold them in half, and then I like to roll them a little bit. I'll take my charm and make sure that if it has a back and a front, that the front is sticking up and going on the ribbon first. Then we'll add this ribbon through the hole. We will loop in the ends of the ribbon. And then I just like to pull at each piece of the ribbon. It makes it a little bit more secure on there. And there's our first tag. We'll do the same thing for the second tag. So this is our page that we created. This one is pocket tags and a belly band. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and ring that bell for notifications. Thank you for watching. Happy crafting!